Hello, hello, hello everyone. Welcome to Teresa's Spot for Art. I'm going to show you how we are going to turn this little sketch here into this beautiful book painting. Let me turn you guys around and we are going to get started. I've traced my design onto this. This is a 9x12 mixed media book that I use. It's from Canson. I've traced my design on using graphite paper, and now I'm just using a mixture of peacock blue and white to paint in the background and all around the elements. I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way down, and then I'm going to make it darker for the table that the books are sitting on. I want the top portion to be a little bit darker and the areas around the book and the birds to be a little lighter. I'm going to paint right over my stems. They'll be easy enough to see, and then we can go back in and fill them in later. I'm just using really messy strokes, almost like a figure 8 or X's that overlap. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of black to my dark blue paint, and I'm going to paint the bottom, almost to make it look like a tabletop or a desk or something that the books are standing on. I want all these strokes to go horizontal, but we're going to come back in and we're going to add some highlights to them later. To finish the tabletop, I'm going to start base coating in all of my books. Now you can do your books the same colors I'm doing, or you can choose your own colors. And all we're going to paint is the top, the cover of the books that you can see, and this spines, the pages that are all like angled and to the right. We're going to come back in and we're going to do them later on in white. So right now we're just going to base coat in all of our book covers and spines. We're done with the book covers. I'm going to mix up a little bit of very pale blue, and I'm going to paint in the bird's tail and the bird's little head. The bird is perched on the edge of the books, and his tail is kind of like hiding behind. Now I'm going to go into my dark green. I'm going to paint in all my stems. I can still see mine. If you can't see yours, you can refer to the sketch. I'm going to add in my stems, 3 clumps of stems, and then I'm going to put leaves on them. I'm using a medium round brush, and when I do these little leaves, I basically am just squishing my brush to the side, each side of the stem. I'm just putting a little bit of pressure and lifting up, and they go at an angle. So if you look at them, they're sort of making a letter V, and they get a little bit smaller as they go up. If you want smaller leaves, use less pressure. If you want big giant leaves, use a lot of pressure or a bigger brush. Now I'm just going to mix up a tiny little bit of pink with some white and a little bit of red. And I'm going to paint in our little bird's body. This bird is very whimsy. We're not going to get caught up in things looking realistic. It's just a cute little pink bird with a blue tail sitting on a pile of books. While I have some pink in my brush, I'm also going to use it. I'm going to paint the handle of the little paintbrush that's sitting on our stack of books. In case you're wondering, I paint on a Lazy Susie, so it's much easier for me to get to my painting. I don't have to be like turning it around. I just give it a spin, and there I can have the spot that I need. I didn't like this one book here, so I decided to go make it more on an angle, and I filled it in and then went back in and painted the pages in with white. This might need 2 coats because now I'm painting the white over the peacock blue. And now I'm going to use white and paint in the ends, the pages of all the books, going right down the stack. Make sure that you put a little curve, parentheses, opposite parentheses, at the spine and at the edge of all the books. It just makes it look a little bit more like books. Now I'm going to add in my flowers. You can do your flowers any color, any combination of colors. I'm going to do a purple, so I mixed a little bit of red and blue. And I'm also going to paint the tip of my paintbrush purple. This one flower I painted purple. And then I didn't even clean my brush. And I went back in and I painted this one like a deep red. It had a little bit of purple in the brush, so it's much darker. Then I picked up some yellow and made this one a little bit of orange down here in the corner. Then I added another red. And I ended up adding a 4th flower. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, a 5th flower. But you'll see that as we move along. Now I'm going to switch to my very small liner brush. I roll my liner brush between my thumb and my forefinger so I get a really nice point on it. And I'm going to outline all the books. I'm going to outline the covers. I'm going to outline the spines. And I'm going to add a little bit of detail to the spines. Again, you can make yours look exactly like mine. You can mix and match. You can make your own patterns, whatever you'd like to do. So I'm going to outline each book, each spine, and then I'm going to make little wispy strokes at the bottom of the pages to make them look like pages. Now I'm going to start adding a little bit of design to the book spines. Here I put some squares. I put a squiggly on the bottom one, like almost like a scroll. I used my liner brush with a combination of black and white just to add some scribbles to make it look like writing or titles, authors, whatever. You could be as detailed or as simple as you want. They're your books. You can do whatever you want on the spines. You can actually write actual titles if you wanted to. It is totally up to you. Now I'm going to take the dark blue and I'm going to add some details to the bird. The bird gets a little curved lines on his body and dark blue straight lines down the back of his tail. I think I skipped that part, but you can see how I just painted in some straight lines down his tail next to the books. The next thing I want to do is get some fresh white paint on my liner brush and add a little white highlight to the stems and to each of the leaves. It's almost like a little comma stroke or an apostrophe, just adding a little bit of highlight to each little leaf. Here is where I decided to add in that fifth flower, and I made this one yellow. I added a little bit of white to it because yellow tends to be a little translucent, and I wanted to get good coverage over that peacock blue background. I grabbed a little bit of white and put some texture down there and highlights on the tabletop. Continuing with the white, I made it look like there was lettering on the tops of the books for titles and authors. Again, you can do whatever you want. You can actually use real titles and real authors. Totally up to you. Now I'm going to add some details to our flowers. And I just make a combination of comma strokes or apostrophes, smiley faces, frowny faces, and I use all the colors that we've been using. So I will add white and blue and red and yellow and mix and match until I feel like my flowers look good, basically. So I keep adding in some white, then maybe I'll add in some yellow. Sometimes if I add too much white, I get a little pink. And I just keep going around. I don't want to lose the base of the flower, but I want it to have a little bit of whimsy detail. Now I'm going to add a little orange beak to my bird, and I use the back of the brush and make a dot for the eye. Now I'm going to take black and I'm going to add a little cluster of black dots for the centers of all my flowers. This just makes it really pop. I'm dabbing, not too big, just gentle, little dots, and making little black clusters in the centers of all the flowers. This one that goes off the page, the center of the flower is all the way at the edge because the flower goes off the page. So I wouldn't necessarily paint it right in the middle of what I painted. You have to imagine the flower continues and where the center would be. And there we have it. That's just a page protector that I use. But here's my artwork. Let me turn you guys around and you can see the whole thing. And here it is, our library stack of books. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.